there's no meatballs for this one. This is a meatballless film.
Yeah, this is a meatless one.
This actually couldn't be more different than
the other film.
Machine.
Yeah, the other film that we're reviewing from Fantasia. Is like a Japanese splatter horror film. This one it bills itself as a crime and like detective film.
But with a sort of weird, sort of like a supernatural.
Well, it's playing at Fantasia, so you're expecting something different. Like maybe they'll come at it from a different angle. And I must say, it took 53 minutes for me to feel like there was a different angle coming.
Yeah.
It was a bit
It
bizarre.
wasn't that you felt like they didn't tell you there was.
Yeah.
And even when they did tell you, it was in a very soft landing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being said, though, that is not to say that this wasn't an awesome film.
Yeah, Matangtubig is a film from the Philippines by, what was the name?
Jet Leko
is the name of the director.
Yeah.
And it's also known as Town in a Lake. It's actually a town in the Philippines, and so the name is just basically a geographical location. And this film is one that centers around a murder at the beginning, and so it's rather gruesome in its description, but not gruesome in its display. It doesn't really show you the like brutal head trauma that's being discussed,
No,
which
but it
I found a
did one
really interesting
thing
choice.
Which was weird.
Just the vagina in the
There
face.
we go.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? Sorry.
It's a little strange.
They do an autopsy.
Yeah, they do.
Sorry, spoilers again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spoiler for the first like 2 minutes of the film.
But
Basically.
that shot was about half of those 2 minutes.
Just vag.
Just right on. But it's a
Straight
child.
on. It's like a 16-year-old murder
girl.
victim.
She was. This is Natalie Cruz. Is the character's name. Her and her friend Melody have gone missing. Natalie's body shows up. She has been raped, killed, and dumped, basically. And
so it kind of feels like the beginning of a like a CSI.
Or basically just like any day, unfortunately, in the Filipino news, where the president is a piece of. Actually,
there you go.
Is a man of the world. I'm not going to say anything bad about that president.
So the thing about this film is that, like I said, if you're going to play at Fantasia, there's got to be some kind of like, it's some kind of genre, something usually, and so we tucked into this after watching Kodoku
Weirdest
Meatball Machine.
Decision ever.
So yeah, splatter horror was our first Fantasia experience,
which was
this
exhausting.
Year,
yeah,
which was its own kind of like just brutal, relentless film.
Two very different scopes of the Asian film market.
Yeah, this film, Matangtubig, is so patient. I want to say patient because I make westerns that are. Some people call them slow, but I use the word patient.
Patient, I agree.
In the first 4 minutes of this movie, there are 4 shots. Like, we sit in a frame.
Yeah.
And we really get to experience changes of lighting states and the shaping. Yes, the sound is beautiful.
I will say my favorite character, to be very honest, in this film is Matangtubig, the area, like the trees have so much character, the sound, the birds, like the water is so beautifully picked up, and I wouldn't say this is an eco horror in the sense that it's not the earth or its elements working against you, but it's not working for you, and it's telling you you're not safe, and no one is safe.
It's a very atmospheric film.
Super atmospheric. It's stunning.
It really gives you, it really sets a tone, and it puts you on edge, and it makes you nervous without really ever putting characters in harm's way. But you are expecting them to be in harm's way, and that's a testament to the director. It's
absolutely
it's a really anxious film in that way.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're sitting there going, "This is so beautiful. Why am I so uncomfortable?"
It is beautifully shot.
It's really beautifully shot. He is somebody who definitely understands how to make the most of something small and subtle that you didn't even realize you'd be afraid of.
Yeah, and it's not just that it's a beautiful frame, because anyone can like set up a tripod and be like, "Hey, that's cool." That's photography. Cinematography involves the fourth dimension, time, and the movement
Oh my god, it's so beautiful.
The camera movement in this film, it feels, you know, like any jagoff TV director can like put a camera on a slider so the shot moves. But I mean, like, the frame is moving cinematically for a reason. It feels motivated. The frame slowly moves you into something, and the foreground moves out of the frame as the camera moves, and something is revealed in the shot.
Yeah, like, not even just that. Like, there was times when the water would swell and come back, and I felt, not like I was a camera sitting on a wave, kind of going like this and like that. I felt like you're with it. You're moving, you're breathing kind of with it, which was so fucking cool. And the fact that mixed with the sound design is so incredible. Like, I was literally there. I was, you know, Natalie's brother in the film. The other incredible thing about this film, and as I was saying before, you know, the Philippines is beautiful. They are not known for being the most wholesome of countries, I guess you would say, is the nicest. Okay. Is a good word. There is some political issues. Yeah, they play the sort of, I'm not going to say corrupt, not necessarily the corrupt politician, but certainly the conniving civics. You know, you've got the mayor who is protecting the chief of police, who's protecting a cop that he thinks might be kind of dirty. It's just not as sort of blown in your face. It's not, nobody's going like, you know? It's subtle. I like it. It's subtle, and it's kind of an understood thing. The guy says, well, you know, they had an escort. The guy was generous. He took us for some drinks. Okay, well, just like, don't do it again. It's not, you know, nobody's trying to pretend this doesn't happen. And the other interesting thing is that one of the cool things about Matangtubig is that this town it was sort of in a situation geographically as well as just sort of economically and time, where it's sort of in a push and pull with urban development in a sense. Yeah, there's a real class clash in this film between the big city folks who have come to town because there's a murder, there's a story. If it bleeds, it leads. So they're there to try to get the dirty scoop. But then there's also the real, like, fishermen people who live there and work there, and this is just their every day. And you even see it in the way they speak and the language they speak. Absolutely. There's like a pidgin English that some of the either upper crust, the wealthier, the powerful people, and the people from in the big city, they come to town and they speak almost English entirely. Yeah. And then there's the locals who just speak Tagalog for the whole film. It's a really neat sort of culture clash and class clash that's really palpable in the whole thing. I would say one of my favorite moments, we never spoke about this one, but I love this, was so once Natalie she's died and they have her body, they're still looking for Melody. So Natalie's they're sort of doing an appeal. Natalie's mother is on the news. Pretty much from what I can tell, like, she doesn't really know what she's doing. She's really hoping that these two girls, best friends, one of them has died. She's really hoping that her daughter somehow hasn't met the same fate as her friend. So we've got the two mothers, and then so the news people are there, and they've got them in front of Natalie's casket, and the two mothers are standing there, and the sort of director behind gives them two pictures. So it's the pictures of their daughters, right? And it goes, oh no, they've switched them. Yeah, they got the wrong. Okay, switch up. Okay, now hold them up like this. And you start to really see how these sort of rural villager sort of folk are seen by them, and not only how they don't know how to, they've been, like, invaded. Oh yeah. And they don't know how to not only get out of it, but they don't know how to behave. They don't know how to behave, and they don't know how to make it work to their, not necessarily advantage, but they're being told these people are here to help them. But they can't even tell them whose kid is whose. And they're getting nothing out of these people. Absolutely nothing. Who are basically there for, there's a congressman that shows up because he wants to. Yeah, he wants to get votes, and so he's going to help out in the search and stuff like that. But ultimately, even at the tail end of that scene, the PR woman who works with the mayor is in this scene, and she's telling these women to smile for the photo. And this one woman has lost her child, and the other one
is hoping that her child can be found. And this PR person who's just insisting that they try another picture to smile.
In
and
front
another
of the
one to
casket
smile. Yeah,
of their daughter. It's
brutal.
It's unbelievable. And one of the great things about this film is, I'm actually going to say, the lack of dialogue. There is so much, the actors, there's so much tension and so much story being told through images and just through their vision and their eyes and their lack of understanding of what's going on.
It's pretty amazing. There's a saying in filmmaking: show, don't tell.
Exactly.
Tell is for books.
Exactly.
Show.
If you can't show it, then if you can't show it, you're not making a movie.
Yeah, and I feel like this film manages to establish its tone, tell its story, do everything so visually. And there are long stretches of this film where nobody talks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. It is so great.
It's unbelievable. There's long stretches of this film where there's not even film. It's just black.
Yeah, it's true.
And it is incredible.
And so tense.
And it's so intense, and it's super cool. It couldn't have been more different than the other one.
It's true. And I mean, this director, Jed, even manages to use his style for comedy.
Absolutely.
And there's this one moment where a funeral procession.
Natalie's funeral.
Yeah.
They're all holding her pictures, and they're wearing T-shirts with Natalie's image.
And they've got playing this music that's so like.
They've got her picture on the fucking hood of the car.
Yeah, and it's this like sad, macabre moment, and then you just hear, out of nowhere, drums and like a happy trumpet playing,
like
and a trombone, and you're like, what? And it cuts out to this amazing wide shot where a fiesta, a party, has just basically come to the same intersection as the hearse has, and they play it in a wide shot the whole time, and it is hysterically funny watching this.
But it's
the
so
juxtaposition.
Heartbreaking.
It's breaking your heart and funny at the same time, and it's such a like Christopher Guest moment.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and then as soon as the slow procession of funeral finally gets out of the frame, they get right back into the fiesta, and it is just a oddly hysterical moment at just about the middle point in the film.
Yeah.
And it's a great example of how you can only give people so much tension. You need to relieve the pressure, and that was just a masterstroke of relieving that pressure.
It was really good, but it's also a film that realized its tone.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
It knows its tone, but it also knows that if you sit in just that feeling the whole time, no one wants to spend 84 minutes in the same feeling.
Well, exactly.
It's about the ride. And that managed to keep that ride going.
And it made it kind of cheeky in a sense, but it also was like, it made you feel kind of fucked up because you're like laughing at this horrible...
You're laughing at a funeral, and it's a weird, wonderful moment.
It is, and it's also, again, such a fucking like, like glaring sign of this sort of more modernized, more advanced sort of world that's a little less has a little less soul, literally colliding.
And even the
with
mayor
the
mayor feels like she's upper crust, but she's from the people.
She's Jenny from the block,
right? Yeah, don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got. But her PR girl is clearly from the city.
Yes.
And when she insists that this fiesta go forward, even though there's a funeral happening that day, you can tell that this PR girl is just she's of a different ilk. She's got such a different set of priorities, and so it was really interesting to watch the mayor try to navigate this sort of brutal labyrinth.
Yeah.
But the thing that surprised me was it took 53 minutes, I think, for this film to have anything even mildly, I'm going to say, supernatural happen.
Yeah.
It just felt like a murder crime film, which is what it's billed as, so that's great. You're not expecting
the synopsis that I read had it also billed as a thing about this festival that happens, and there is some sort of supernatural or sort of old folklore related being or creature that sort of revitalized by the death of Natalie and the disappearance of Melody.
Right.
That, in a sense, I was starting to think that they were sacrifices.
Yeah, and there's a moment where you see this cow's head that's been cut off.
What the fuck was that about?
Well, when that happened, I was like, oh, is this like a chupacabra story?
Yeah.
Is this some kind of monster story? And, you know, the news, the journalist from the big city has come to town and is like, oh, this must be a story, and blows it completely out of proportion. It could have just been a prank, I guess. And,
I
and
thought it was...
one of the local, I guess, farmers is like, well, yeah, that's a cow. We're gonna eat it. We're gonna kill it and eat it. That's not a crime.
Yeah, he goes, that's not a crime. It's a cow.
It's gonna die one way or another.
And then he goes, you could probably save it. It's probably like fresh enough. You can save it to bring it to the festival.
Yeah. It was very interesting to watch this journalist try to build a story out of not a story.
Oh yeah.
And so you get the idea that maybe he's doing this everywhere. Maybe it's all being blown out of proportion. But the fact that this film didn't really show anything crazy supernatural until, like, it didn't really pay off that moment at the 53-minute mark for another half hour, really, until that strange, and we're going to go into spoiler territory now, when that strange, like, black hole appeared,
and
the brother and the mom were watching this black hole, and they were
at first they were happy, and then they were not sure.
But then the two actors were never in sync.
That was the weird thing.
The son was happy when the mother was concerned.
Yeah.
Then the son became concerned, and the mother had relief on her face.
But the interesting thing, remember the scene before where the mother of Natalie and the mother of Melody were sitting there, and she said, you know, you have to, like, take care of your son. You always cared about her more or something. And there was, like, this disconnect, and she was saying, oh, I don't want my kids. She's like, well, you still have a kid.
Yeah.
There is a clear disconnect. And you can tell that Natalie's mother is out of sync. Mm-hmm. And this, you know, but you start to go, okay, well, is it Melody's mother that's out of sync? Are they out of sync with each other? Are they out of sync with who? Mm-hmm. But it just seems that everyone is out of sync with each other, and it seems to center, at the very end of the day, around this strange black hole and the lake.
And the strange beings.
The beings.
So let's get into all the way. We're gonna get all the way into spoilers now.
Yeah, sorry guys.
So when we get to the end of this film, we find out that apparently the perpetrators of this are some kind of, I'm going to say maybe interdimensional beings, some kind of creatures from another reality who have crossed over into Matangtubig. They've decided this is a place that they're going to have a deal with the town. They never quite go into what the deal is, but they explain that killing this girl was not a part of the deal.
Yeah.
And you don't really know who is an interdimensional being. You also don't know why there are two moons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a strange cutaway where Earth has two moons.
What was that about?
Never really explained. And the idea that this deal, whatever it is, whether these are creatures from hell or creatures from some other planet, red is the color that represents these creatures.
Oh, so wait, you know what? Remember we were talking about those flashes of color.
Exactly.
So maybe
I think that flash of red that the fisherman saw at the very beginning was these interdimensional beings abducting this girl, and then
we should probably clarify. So we were watching a screener version of this that the Fantasia had sent to us, but there was some glitches in the film that we just
could have been deliberate, could have been not.
Could have been not. There was a lot
could
of
have
times,
been an encoding error.
That's what I thought, and then because there was also times where I was like, oh, I thought just like the film just cut out because there was sound, and then it would come back. But then I realized, no, that was a deliberate,
stylistic choices.
Very fucking cool stylistic choice.
And I mean, it's on Vimeo, which is it's nobody's favorite
Vimeo
place to watch a thing.
Fucking shit together. I hate you, Vimeo. You're always sorry, but you get.
No, I'm not a fan of Vimeo.
It's fucked all the time. If I like breathe, it's like.
And it's not like you can toggle through it and like back up some frames.
No, you can't. So it's difficult when you're reviewing a film, but
it's hard to. I mean, it gives you a more cinematic experience, I guess, because you can watch it in HD and you can like throw it up on your Apple TV. It does look good. It looks pretty good.
It looks great, but
you know, the interface is a bit screwy.
It is.
So, what I got from the film was that these creatures from wherever they are had a deal with that town, and then by the end, that that deal had broken.
Yeah.
And so a super typhoon
yes.
essentially wipes out the town.
Yeah. Which is something that apparently, sadly, actually happens in the Philippines all the time.
Hit by tsunamis and typhoons and all kinds of, it's not a great place, especially with climate change being as brutal as it is.
Exactly.
There are some bad weather things coming your way. It actually
started to make me think, okay, so this happens quite regularly in the Philippines. So is something like a lot of the political strife and stuff like that, are they trying to say that these are beings from another dimension, like say the president there, who right now is hell-bent on if you are a drug dealer, or we think you're a drug dealer, if you know how to spell the word drug dealer, we're going to kill you and your entire family. Is it sort of a way of saying, like, this is a super being that eventually this will be wiped out by a typhoon and we're going to start over again?
Is it a statement on...
I have a hard time believing that those two things are just unrelated.
But the weird thing for me is that all the interdimensional beings were living in the wacky little town.
But they were all people of power.
Yeah. They were mostly police officers and...
Yeah?
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe there's some serious civics talk happening here, Jet.
You are kicking around. Love to talk to you about that. By the way, your movie is fucking dope.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's stunning.
I must say,
actually
if you're looking
incredibly
for,
beautiful.
Yeah. I was telling Amy that the cinephile in me, like the person who appreciates fine direction and beautiful cinematography and just craftsmanship all around, loved this film.
Yeah.
The genre geek in me that was like, yeah, let's see some Fantasia Fest films, was massively disappointed by this movie.
Well, but the thing is, too, we're coming off of, it's like going to see Guar and then Mazzy Star. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, my adrenaline was up from watching Meatball Machine.
Yeah.
And then,
we could literally, you can't go two more different ways.
Yeah.
Which, again, is actually... one could say is a testament to Fantasia, that you can screen such different films. Part of the reason I wanted to watch these two films is I don't know very much about Filipino cinema, and I was very excited to hear about what I thought was... Here's the thing. I mean, it's so tricky. I would not call it a horror.
No, it's a thriller.
It's
definitely a thriller.
It's a bit of a whodunit, but it's also not, because at the end of the day, I don't know who did it.
I don't know.
The other thing is, did what?
That's the thing. Like, somebody rapes and kills this girl.
Or something.
Something. I mean, they send the...
Is it a deal that does it? Like, we don't even know.
They send the DNA off to get tested, and you never find out what the tests
But it says that spermazoida something. So there is sperm.
Yeah, so maybe interdimensional beings, Maybe? I guess. That seems to be what they're implying. But
through space and time.
Through space and time, just rips right through the dimensions. Those spermies, they get places.
They still can't coordinate a fucking parade and a funeral procession, but they can get
But interdimensional sperm. There you go.
Hell.
Yeah, it was there are some questions left to you.
Which is fine.
Jet is a little bit of I would say, the Filipino Darren Aronofsky. He doesn't want to answer all the questions.
Sure.
Which, in Darren Aronofsky, I find means he just isn't willing to commit to an answer. But in this case, I feel like it was a director who just didn't want to spell it all out.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted us to make our own choices. I think he wanted us to think about it afterwards, which I have been.
Certainly have, yeah.
Absolutely. I 100% have been. It was absolutely stunning. It was, for me, it was a very good exercise in pacing and how much story and character development can be done by no character at all. Like, the setting itself. Mm-hmm. As a writer, I find it very interesting to try, people always say, okay, you have to, do the lay of the land first. But what if the lay of the land is, your main character?
Yeah.
And that, in this film, it really, really is. It is the main character. Sorry, I just made the earth move. Look at that. It is the main character. It is the driving force. It is the thing that tells you when something's amiss. The weather starts to get a bit weird and stuff when the ball starts to get rolling. And to me, that is you can't get a better actor.
Yeah, it is a beautiful and well utilized location.
Absolutely.
In this film.
Absolutely.
And I would 100% recommend this film to someone who's willing to watch some uncomfortable scenes.
Yeah.
But no gore, no blood, really.
No. If you're looking for
a thriller that is atmospheric,
yeah,
that is really going to get under your skin, this is a really great film for that.
If you're looking to send a text to your friend about what you just watched in about 7-8 words, not so much.
No, there's a lot going on in this film, and it's really, I think it's for a cinephile. I think this film is really made for someone who is willing to watch a movie's story slowly unfold and really enjoy the frame that the director has chosen, because it is really quite beautiful.
By that same token, I think it's also for photography buffs. I also think that this is a really great film for people into like fashion art and into like any sort of form of painting, because the colors and the movement and the shadows that are cast in this film, just the movements in the trees and the incredible light that you get naturally from just the lay of the land is unreal.
And really the night shooting is also very beautiful.
It's
the
stunning.
Colors that are thrown around it's quite neat to watch.
It's really, really beautiful to watch. I mean, to be honest, you don't even need to be a cinephile to appreciate that. For me, as I've never been to the Philippines, in a very strange way, this made me want to go.
Yeah.
It really did. It's a very strange tourism ad, but it did.
All things considered.
Yeah.
But it certainly did showcase the Philippines in a beautiful and, disturbing, but that's the film.
Disturbingly serene, but stunning and like sumptuous way. It was very bizarre.
Yeah.
It was super bizarre. It's hard to...
I enjoyed it a lot.
I did too.
And I feel like I can soundly recommend it to someone who wants a good, patient, slow-burning thriller.
Yeah.
It does that sort of girl with the dragon tattoo kind of... Yeah, but it gives you that slow... The environment is a part of the story. The elements of the film are very much the setting, and I feel like this film is a really great transplantation of that tone into something that has like a tiny little bit of supernatural, but really it's very much a police drama thriller.
Yeah, this is a police drama thriller. This is a missing person story.
Yep. It's a whodunit.
A whodunit. It's a bit of corruption. It's a bit of everything, and it's but at the very end of the day, it is just it's a stunning example of light and sound and movement
and all the things cinema should be.
Exactly.
Like it does that really, really well. So if you want a well-crafted movie, I say check it out.
Absolutely.
Matangtubig.
A town in a lake.
Yeah. It's pretty beautiful.
Absolutely.
All right.
Up top for that one.
Up top.